Have you ever wished you had like a secret superpower for all the boring, repetitive stuff you have to do on your computer? Well, guess what? You might already have one. We're going to talk about how programming isn't just for super nerds and software engineers. It's actually a practical skill that can save you a ton of time, unlock your creativity, and just completely change how you think about your computer. And it all starts with a great story.
I mean, just listen to that sentence. That right there captures the power we're talking about. It was said by the co-workers of a college student who, with just a little bit of programming know-how, totally revolutionized a mind-numbing office job. So what was this terrible task?
Okay, so picture this. It's the early 2000s, and we're in a retail electronics store. The enemy? A giant stack of paper and a job so repetitive it could make you cry. Yeah. Imagine a team of 3 people literally sitting on the floor, surrounded by papers. Their job was to take this massive spreadsheet of competitor prices and for every single product, look up their own store's price to see who was cheaper. This wasn't a quick thing. It took them 2 full days of just boring manual work.
And this is where the superpower kicks in. A roommate who was pretty new to programming wrote a simple script. It just read the competitor's price, looked up the product in the store's database, and boom, made the comparison automatically. The result? The entire 2-day job was done in just a few seconds. That is the incredible difference between human effort and computer automation.
So, what is this magic, right? Well, it's not magic at all. Really, at its core, computer programming is just giving your computer a to-do list. That's it. You write out a series of super clear, step-by-step instructions, and the computer follows them perfectly, every single time. Okay, so what does one of these computer to-do lists actually look like? Well, it's written in a special language the computer can understand, and we call it source code. Let's actually take a quick peek at a real example. But before we look at it, let's just nail down this term, source code. It's just the official name for those instructions. Think of it like the recipe your computer follows to bake a cake, or in this case, to run a program. All right, here it is. This is a short program written in a really popular language called Python. Now, don't panic if it looks like a foreign language at first, because it kinda is. But I bet you can probably guess what it's trying to do just by reading some of the words in there. But I promise you, the logic here is way simpler than it looks. Let's just translate this code into a plain English to-do list that you'll get in a heartbeat. See? When you break it down like that, it's totally logical. The program opens a file, reads the right password, asks you for your guess, and then just compares the two. If they match, you're in. If they don't, you're denied. That's all that scary-looking code is doing. So the real point here is programming is way less about weird symbols and way more about just clear, step-by-step thinking. All right, now that we've kind of demystified what programming actually is, let's tackle the 3 biggest myths that stop most people from ever even trying to learn it. This is probably the #1 fear I hear. Everybody thinks you have to be some kind of math whiz to write code. But you know what? For most programming, that's just not true.
Sure, look, if you're building a 3D physics engine for a video game, yeah, you're going to need some math. But for most practical, everyday tasks, programming is way more like solving a Sudoku puzzle. It's all about logic, deduction, and breaking a big problem down into tiny, manageable steps. If you can think through a problem logically, you've got what it takes. Okay, the second myth is this idea that programming is a young person's game, that if you didn't start coding when you were, a kid, that ship has sailed. Believe it or not, you see people posting online all the time, worried that it's too late for them because they're, and I'm quoting here, already 23 years old. It's ridiculous, right? People learn to program at every single stage of life, and honestly, it's probably easier to learn now than it has ever been. And this quote just illustrates the point perfectly. The author of our source material, he started programming as a kid back in the 90s. But he points out that with today's tools, with Google, with better programming languages, everything he learned over years and years could now be picked up in just a few months of focused weekends. The takeaway is simple. It's never been easier or faster to learn, no matter when you start. And the final myth is that programming is this dry, robotic, purely technical thing. People picture someone just typing ones and zeros, but as we're about to see, it's actually one of the most powerful, creative tools you can possibly have. So if programming is creative, how does that actually show up in the real world? Well, it starts with the power to solve your own unique problems and to automate all your personal annoyances. Just think about all the little repetitive things that eat up your day. I mean, look at this list. Programming can handle all of it. Imagine automatically renaming 1,000 photos from your vacation with a single click. Or having a script that fills out the same boring online forms for you every single week. You want to get a text when a special item goes on sale? A program can do that. Each one of these little automations is a small, creative act that just gives you your time back.
This is the perfect way to think about it. Your computer is an incredibly powerful tool, right? But programming is what lets you configure it for countless different jobs. It's like having a tool that can instantly become a knife or a screwdriver or a pair of scissors, exactly when you need it to be. And beyond just automating stuff, programming really gives you a blank canvas. It's a medium for creation that is totally unlike anything else.
Think about other creative hobbies for a second. If you want to paint, you got to go buy canvas and paint. If you want to knit, you need yarn. Want to build with Legos? You need bricks. But to create with code, all you need is the computer you probably already own. The raw materials are totally free, and they're infinite. And this is maybe the most incredible part. If you knit a sweater, only one person can wear it. If you paint a masterpiece, it can only hang in one museum. But if you write a useful program, it can be copied perfectly, an infinite number of times, and shared with the entire world in an instant for basically free. The potential scale of your creation is just limitless. So just remember that your computer isn't just an appliance. It's an incredibly powerful and obedient tool that's just sitting there, waiting for your to-do list. So the only real question left is the one on your screen. What are you going to teach it to do?